And I'm back. So, let's go over the notes that I took in this game. And I'm back. Oh god, feedback, no. Yeah, I got lucky in Oras right there, with the Okake Reach. I had most of the Aura, so I wasn't like super scared of the dealer reach, but if I dealt into that, that'd be kind of sad. But they were far enough away, and last was far enough away that it seemed like a good chance to take, especially with the tiles that I had. Hoi. First off, let's just go look at any of my deal-ins, see how those were. Yeah, this one was pretty interesting. So they got a couple early calls. Discards the 8-pin right there unless they have a pair of the Dora or they already have a completed shape. They probably don't have the 9-pin Dora, but they can still have red Dora in their hand. Their discards don't look super dangerous. The last thing that came out of their hand was a 5-so, which means they went directly into Tempai right there. And all the tiles they discarded before that from their hand were like Shonpai honor tiles. So usually whenever you're looking at open hand and you're wondering, oh, when are they in Tempai? The normal answer is going to be whenever they drop like a safe-ish tile that's kind of like overflow from their hand. Because normally you'll try to like slim down your hand as you're opening it up, just in case someone reaches or something. And then whenever you finally get into Tempai, then you'll go ahead and throw that. So in this case right here, they got like a direct Tempai with their 5-so. This one hurt some. So they had a couple of pretty big red flags here. The most obvious one right here being they dropped the Dora. And then they also have the double tone open. So whenever a person drops the Dora, if it's from their hand, usually that means it's like, I forget, it's like an 80% chance of one Shanten or something like that. It's some pretty insane stats for dropping a Dora, especially one that's really easy to use, like the 6-pin. And then they followed up, dropping the 1-pin right there. So this is pretty dangerous. Because they could have possibly had like the 1-3 shape, drew a 4, and then dropped the 1, and then that would also explain why they dropped the 6 because they didn't. If they were already in Tempai and they didn't have any tiles to use with it, then they would just go ahead and drop it with their double tone. Yeah, maybe delaying that tile would be a little bit okay, I think. The board's pretty insane right now, and I'm still 1 Shanten. Plus, I have some alternatives I can throw in the meantime, like the 7-so or the 4-so. 4-so doesn't look as super safe. 7-so is safe for the dealer, though. This person isn't as big of a threat as this person right here, mainly because they have the double East, which automatically gives them 2 Han. If they have like one other red Dora floating in their hand or something, then that's already 5,800 points. This person right here didn't call the Dora. Whether, if they had like a pair of the Dora and they didn't call that. So their hand is probably cheaper than theirs in most cases. And if I do get to Tempai, then yeah, it's okay to fight with whatever, as long as it's a battle worth fighting for. But one thing I really want to avoid right here is just dealing in before I even get to Tempai. Especially this one. And for this one, I regret nothing. They were in Ricci, but I was Tempai with Toy, Honitsu, and then I had my Self-Wind, White Dragon, Green Dragon, 2 Dora, so that's already 16,000 point hand. And if I get Sumo, I also get Sun Anko, which raises it up to a Sanbaimon, so a 24,000 point hand. So, yeah, I 100% do not mind pushing and dealing into anything right here. Okay, let's go and check out notes First one, East 1, 6 turn. Oh, against the Ricci. So I was wondering, just as in this case, as like an aside, should I throw a 100% safe tile right here? Or is it okay to like semi-push, depending on what I have? So Haku is like obviously like stupidly very, very safe. The only chance that they're ever going to win on that is if they have a Hellweight Tonki. Or technically, oh no, that's it, because Kokushi is dead as well. Plus their tiles don't look to be that suspicious for Tonki. For instance, if you are going for, I don't know, let's say 7 pairs, Chitoitsu, oftentimes you'll try to keep tiles that would be better for your final weight up until the end, and then, you know, they reach. But I don't see any patterns of that right here. Regarding the actual, like, chances that this hand can maybe get into Tenpai. oh, oh, the potential Sanbaimon deal-in was sad. Yeah, I was sad too. I opened up that hand. It's just like, oh, perfect. But Mahjong. But anyway, so for this hand right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm still 2 Shanten. So at most, I need to drop 2 tiles. If I'm looking at the tiles that I would potentially need to drop to actually get to there, this floating 7-pin and this 5-so kind of stand out, and they're both, you know, completely dangerous to the Ricci. I don't want to push anything unless I actually get to like Tenpai, because if I'm pushing without any worth, then that's negative EV, which I want to avoid. Because at that point, defending will actually get me more points than fighting. So the question is, should I just go ahead and like be perfectly safe and throw this north, or be semi-safe and throw the Haku? This is a very, very like niche, like tiny, small case. Actually, I think throwing the Kyusa or the 9 Sozu might be better. Mainly because, actually, well, yeah. I think throwing the 9 Sozu is a little bit better. Mainly because if the dealer ends up pushing this reach, I don't know what the dealer is going to do yet. Like, they haven't even got a single turn. I don't know if they're going to drop a safe tile. I don't know if they're going to drop a red 5-pin. But if the dealer does end up pushing, and I need to defend against the dealer as well, the Haku would be a lot better safe tile for them. Whereas these are already 100% safe to the dealer, and it also avoids any chance of the Ippatsu. Plus with this, like, you know, 2 Shanten, some pretty bad weights, and dangerous tiles I have to drop, I don't think this hand's going to go anywhere anyway. So yeah, I think I should probably drop the 9 over the white dragon here. Alright. Next up, East. 2-1. 8th turn, 9th turn. Or, I guess, 7th turn and 6th turn. This is the right one, right? Maybe. Oh, yeah. Or, no, this was not the right one. Here we go. Yeah, this is the 2. So, what should I drop here? I really don't like this. So the board looks really like hectic right now. 6 pin came out right here, and 1 pin came out right here, and that's why I'm like, oh, okay, 4 pin's probably safe then. But I didn't actually think of the follow-up of that, where if I do have to drop the 4 pin, I have to drop the 2 pin, and the 2 pin is definitely not as good to that. So is there anything better I can actually drop here? Let's see. So dealer is the big one I'm kind of scared about. And in second place, this guy, I guess. But if I want to continue my hand, I need to drop one of the blocks that I have over in my hand. So I got 2, 3, 4, one complete shape. This is proto shape 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to drop either, let's see, the 8s are going to be my pair most probably. So 4, 6, 2, 4 circles, or 6, 7 Manzu. Yeah, I should. Oh, wait. Oh, I should drop these two. So, same thing with this. If I drop the 4 pin right here, it's pretty probably safe for the dealer. Whereas the 2 pin is not safe. 7 so right here is safe for the dealer because they dropped out already. But I'm like, oh, what about 6 so? Even though they dropped a 5, they could still be waiting on the 5, 9. But the 9 just came out right here and they didn't call anything. So in that case, the 6 is actually not that bad. Of course, they could have technically had, let's say, a 5-4 shape, drew a red 5, dropped the 5, and that is a potential. But compared to the 2 pin, which we know that they probably have something in their hand right next to it, dropping the 1 pin to slate from their hand, I think that's a little bit better option. And then, of course, the Sozu tiles, we do have like a lot of 1s and 8s, so it kind of forms like a little bit of like a wall around it. But we can't see any of the other tiles, which makes these pretty dangerous, to say the least. Hmm. Yeah, I really need to slow down the pace of games. Whenever I go, like, everyone else's kind of, like, speed of just, like, instant throw, then I miss a lot of stuff. I just need to take up the full, like, X seconds of my turn, even if people are like, rah, rage! Because it doesn't matter as much in the other rooms in Tenhou, but especially in this room, if you miss like any small, tiny little bit of detail, it can get punished pretty bad. But that's why it's fun. Alright. And then this was the one that we looked at earlier. Next up, East 2-1, third turn. Oh, this is an interesting shape. So we have a pair of the Dora, and then we have 6 blocks right now. So we need to figure out what are we going to drop. So in this case, normally if you have a pair of the Dora, you don't want to end up with a Shabo. In other words, you don't want to end up with like a pair of something else and a pair of the Dora. Because the Dora usually doesn't come out. Sometimes, if someone has like a pretty decent hand, they might drop it then. But more often than not, you shouldn't rely on the Dora. Instead, you should take, a nice double-sided weight or something, and with Breachy, and that's a lot easier way to utilize it. But in this case, we're having to choose between that pair weight. I'm not pair weight. Well, I guess Shabo. How would you translate that? Double pair weight? You're gonna have to translate. You're gonna have to either choose between that, or you have to choose between this edge weight right here, which is only waiting on the 3, which is kind of bad. But this shape right here is really good because we have like floating 6 basically. So if we get a 5, if we get another 7, then we instantly upgrade this shape to a double-sided weight, and then we can use the Dora as our pair. Plus, if we accidentally get lucky and happen to get the third Dora, or if someone else happens to throw it early on because they have something worth fighting for, then we still have the chance to pawn that and take instant tempai. So yeah, I like throwing the penchant here. If this, on the other hand, was, let's say, a 2-3 of Sozu, as opposed to a 1-2 of Sozu, I would probably throw the 9 pin. Because that way, I still maintain my 1 Shanten. If this happens to come out, I can still technically pawn it and throw out the 7-8 and confirm my pair right here. And if not, and if I get Tempai before that, then I can just Riichi on double-sided weight with Riichi Dora Dora. Alright. East 4. Third turn, fifth turn, sixth turn, ninth turn, and 13th turn. Yeah, this one had a lot of questions. What about the 6 pin? Let's check. So that was... Oh. So if I'm going to throw the 6 pin, I think the 9 pin is better in that case. Mainly because what do we gain from it? So if we throw the 6 pin, we're still lowering ourselves down to the 5 blocks, and we would need to use this 1-2 Sozu. But if we throw the 9 pin, we still keep the 6, 7, 8, so we still keep that run right there, and we also keep this extra pair right here, so just in case, if the White Dragon comes out, then we can call that, and then this becomes our pair, whereas if we don't get it, then we can just throw out our extra 6, and it becomes the 6, 7, 8. So it's a little bit more flexible, and does everything else the 9 can do. Alright. East 4, third turn. Yeah, this hand was interesting. So... right now we don't have any pair, but we have a lot of different ways we can get it. This shape in particular is very nice because if we do complete our run somewhere else first, then we can just drop that down, make this triplet a pair, and then potentially even get Pinfu, Tanyao, Dora, anything. The 6 right here is like a floating lone tile right now, but it has its benefits in that if we do draw like the 7, it's pretty good. Now, the reason why the 8 was, kind of sticking around was because we're technically one Shanten with this hand. And I was thinking, well, if I did get Tenpai, especially on like the 1-4, I'd be very tempted to just immediately take Tenpai on the 8-pin Tunky and reach. But, I don't know. I think it's early enough that I probably actually should just drop this 8-pin Tunky, especially since I do have this 3-4-4-5 shape now. Which, I mean, if you're looking at the hand just like from afar, we already have enough like completed sets, right? Or almost. We got a triple right here, run right here, run right here, and then our final double side weight right here. So what is giving us this 3-4-4-5 shape do? Because all that would do is potentially give us another run. But yeah, because we do have this shape, and we can upgrade to like Pinfu, Ipeiko. Even if I did get instant Tenpai on the, I don't know, like 1-so or 4-so, I still think it's probably better to ignore Tenpai right there and try to upgrade the hand, especially if we have a shape like this. So yeah, I got like too obsessed on the idea of like, oh, 8-pin Tunky, 8-pin Tunky. Yeah, and then 6 right here. And now see I'm missing that 4-pin. I'm like, oh no. So should I go back into footy 10 right here potentially and drop the 8-pin? I 100% think so. Mainly because even if I do get into Tenpai like that, I can just change the weight. Because if we throw this, so this shape right here doesn't have to wait on the 4 and the 6. Because if I do complete this first, for instance, we still need a pair. And so this could use like the 3, the 6, the 5, and the 2 instantly as our pair. So keeping around the shape is tarimae. Pretty obvious. Next up, 7. Alright, now this is the fun one. Yeah, this is really fun. Alright, so we got this beautiful shape over here, which if we do end up with Tenpai on this, it's going to be waiting on the 4, the 7, and the 3. Then we have this shape right here, which is like really, really flexible in that it can take in a lot of pairs. It can take in like the 2-5 or the 3-6. If we look on the board, it's actually not that good, I guess, because there's 2 out right here, but that's still 4 2s, 1 5, 3 6s, and 2 8s. So it's like 10 tiles right there. It's Similarly, this shape is also 3, 3, and 4, so this is also 10 tiles. And then we have our 1 and 3 shape right here, which can take in a 1, a 4, a 2, or a 3. So what do we drop in this hand? I don't really know. uh, at a glance, I would want to probably keep, you know, all of my other shapes good and going, but in this case, because we did drop the 4 pin up here, this would become footy 10 if we do end up in Tempai with it. That being said, this shape is still really good because it can get us a lot of pairs. Alright, let's throw this one into Hitori Mahjong Simulator, I guess. So, this is a Mahjong simulator. It's not great for Red Dora Mahjong regarding value, but it's really good for figuring out shapes, especially if you're looking not to call. So let's put this in real quick. And let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, and for the Dora, it doesn't really matter. Let's do it as like a random honor tile. And this was also on 1, 2, 3, 4, the 6th turn, and we should also probably get rid of some of the tiles to reflect the state on the board. So what are the usable tiles that we have that are dead already? 4 pins gone. There's a 5 pin gone. There's a 6 pin gone. This doesn't consider like anything for footy thin either, because it's a self-draw only program. So let's see, 7 pin is also gone, so I think that's the main stuff, and there's also one Sozu gone, so I guess we can add that. Alright. Then add this back. And run it. Alright, so what do we got? 6 turn, random Dora, and a bunch of cool shapes. So the big thing that we're looking right here is going to be the win rate and also the tempai rate. So the win rate is in this column right here. On this side you have the kitaichi, which is like the expected value. And then on this side right here we have the percentage that you're going to get to tempai. So if we just look through real quick to see which numbers are, you know, obviously the highest. 3 pin, 5 pin, and 6 pin all stand out. 2 and 3 so aren't that bad, but they're still like a good little chunk away from them. So right here it's suggesting 5 pin as the highest sumo rate, followed by 6 and 3. That's pretty interesting actually. Alright, so what does that mean? Let's see, is cutting the Sozu proto run valid? That's what I originally, like when I looked at this hand, that's what I originally thought I should probably do. But, yeah, I guess it's, I don't know. I guess the main reason why not cutting this is that great is because what this hand is missing is, or I guess what this hand has too much of is ways to make a pair. because we can make a pair in a lot of ways. We can get a 3, we can get a 4, we can get a 7, we can get a 2, we can get a 3, we can get a 5, we can get a 6. Whereas if we want to make our last run, the only ways we can do that is with a 4, 7, or a 1 and a 4. Oh. So between cutting 5-pin and 6-pin, which is better for us in this case? At a glance, I'd say probably either or is fine. One 5-pin came out right here, and so if we're looking between 5 and 6-pin, at base, they both have 6 tiles. And for both of them, we can see one of each out. So the difference isn't that big. Hmm. Yeah, I guess 5-pin's semi-okay here. Like, the weird thing about this shape is that even if we keep it around, we're not going to take tempi on this shape. Because if, for instance, we draw, I don't know, a 1 or a 4 bamboo first, we're going to throw out the sozu so that we can take the 3-sided shape over here, as opposed to the doubles tile right here. Similarly, if we complete our pair over here, then we're going to be left with the 2-3 sozu shape. So regardless of what we get rid of, we're going to have to probably throw the other one unless we make a pair of it. That being said, we should probably throw the 5. Because if we do throw the 6, later on, if we do have to throw something, we'd have to throw out the other 5. So rather than throwing a 6 and later, when people are potentially in tempi, throw out a 5, it'd be better to throw a 5 right now and then later on throw a 3. Because at least that's semi-walled off. That's a really interesting shape. I gotta take a picture of that. Alright, next up. This is the 6th turn. So, I think I wrote down 9th turn and 13th turn.
G. Home.
Gah, okay, this was actually really cool. So, Toyman is going for what looks to be Chanta or Junchan. The one Sozu, we can see one right here and one right here. And then we also have the red door right here. Generally, you would want to take the double-sided weight right here, but is it better to drop out the 2 Sozu and go for the 4? Because if they are indeed going for Junchan right here, then they can't use the 4 in their hand, right? And if we look at the Yakuhai tiles remaining, no Chun was called, but they could technically have a triplet. Haku wasn't called, but they could technically have a triplet. Hatsu wasn't called, but they could technically have a triplet. And then their own wind is dead, and the round wind is technically alive as well. Yeah. So, what do we do here? If we do take the 4 Sozu, we do get the, the 4 Sozu Kanchan, we do get the benefit of being able to open up this hand for a 5,800 point. Or even if we do get Dama, it's a 7,700 point hand. And Forso looks pretty good, especially since they just threw the 7 So right there. They're quite possibly Tempai waiting on, like, I don't know, 8 So or 9 So, or another end tile in their hand. They had to have some shape that this was connected to, unless they were just keeping a random lone 7 So around. But if they did have a, what is that called? If they do have a Yakuhai, and they end up with a pair weight, they'd probably choose the Dora. But it's Aka Inu, so I have no idea. Hmm. Yeah, this is also an interesting one. I think I'll take a picture of this and send it out to a couple people. Today is the 18th. anytime I see an interesting question, I will take a picture of it, crop it out, and paint. Save it in a giant folder where I have a lot of various Mahjong what would you do questions, and then send it out to either the Discord, different people that I know via like Twitter or Line. I'm kind of liking the Tuso drop right here, though. Might get a couple second opinions on this.
Chi.
Then... Oh, this one right here is cool too. Okay, so I just upgraded. I have now a 4, 5, 6, 7. The one so is quite nice right here because now I can see 3 of them. So this turned out pretty good. Now I need to drop something. I can either drop something out of the Sozu shape right here, or I'm sorry, Manzu shape right here, or I can drop one of my Pinzu. If we're looking at the board, what's pretty dangerous? Obviously these two are out there. 9 just came out and they dropped a 5, so they're probably not waiting on the 6. I mean, technically, they could still have a 6-3 kind of early, but they need some type of Yakuhai or something in their hand. And even if that's the case, it looks probably to be pretty cheap. They didn't call the Dora. I have 2 of the red Dora. 6-pin is also safe for Toymen. I don't want to drop 3-pin right here if I have the choice of dropping 6-pin, because if they are going for Junchan or maybe even Sanshoku, the 3 can be used by their hand, but the 6 cannot, and it's also safe right there. And then keeping around this shape is really nice because we can get a 9, we can get a 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We can literally get almost anything in Sozu right now, except like 2 and 1. So dropping the 6-pin here I think is really good. Clearly Sanshoku is calling out to you. What? Sanshoku? Yeah. If we drop the 6, draw a 3, drop the 2, then we get Sanshoku. Yeah, that's another thing. Tempting. Same thing with 4-pin, like 6-pin. It's unlikely to be used by their hand unless they have a Yakuhai tile, or a Yakuhai meld, in which case it's cheap anyway. And same thing with their hand. 7-pin also just came out, so the 4-7 is dead, so only the 1-2 remain. So this is pretty good right here. Then we get Tempai. Unfortunately, it was not on Sanshoku. Such a shame. So do we call reach on this, or do we not call reach on this? So I'm dealer. The number of door tiles that people probably have in their hand are not significant. No one called the 7. They dropped the 7. I have 2 of the red 5s right here. So if I do call a reach right now, I do think it is very, very, very possible that people will fold because dealer reach, can't see many Dora. Their hand, most probably, if they're going for edge weights, can't be a good like double-sided weight or something. So, and even if it is, they can probably only win on one side of it. So folding is probably what's going to happen if I do reach. If I stay dumb, on the other hand, this weight looks really good because I don't know about this person. But for this person at least, if they are going for Chanta or Junchan, they can't use the 4. If they're going to draw it, then they're going to drop it. If they don't see any really like big significant danger on the field, they probably won't care. So I think Dama right here is pretty good. And of course, if I do happen to draw a 3, then I can technically upgrade to Sanshoku as well. So let's actually see what people had here. So yeah, he's going for Chanta and potentially Haku. They had an Anko of East in their hand with 1 Dora. Still a little bit off, and this person right here, they're holding all my 4s! I was going for something. Why did they drop a 4 right here? Did they decide to go for Chitoitsu, or oh, they drew the Hatsu and they're like, well, I can't drop this. Maybe? Because like both of these people look like they need a Yakuhai, even though one is out, it's technically nowhere else is to be seen. And so then they're like, okay, well, I still want to get Tempai, and so let's go for, 7 pairs, and then drops that. Whereas if I Ricci right there, of course, they're just gonna fold with the 8s. That's cool. Alright. Next up, East 4-0, third turn. Oh wait, I am on that one right now. I cannot read my own handwriting. East 4-1, no call. So, should I call this right here? Yeah, looking back on it, probably. I kind of didn't want to call with this hand because I'm like, oh, this is really good. I can get like a Ricci with Haku. It's still kind of early on, I'll do whatever. But if I consider that, well, I don't have any Dora. Other people might have Dora. And even if I reach, they might fight with their big Dora hands. Even though I do kind of want to win a big hand right here, especially since second is so close, I think this instant Tempai is a bit hard to pass up. Especially since, like, if I pull in that, I have this Anko right here, and so it goes over in Fu. So it's at least 2,000 points. I can also get the red 5 right here, so potentially even 3,900 points, and then there's also one home on the field, so an extra 300 points right there. Plus, even if I do end up reaching, it's probably going to be by drawing the 5 or the 8, just with the number of tiles left. So then I'd be left with either a 2 So Kanchan or a 3 So in Pei. Pei isn't that bad, it's pretty good actually. But if they are playing defense against the dealer, like, just straight up Bitauri, they're not going to drop it. So yeah, I think calling there was actually a lot better. Yeah. Alright. South 2-0. Or actually, first off, South 1-1, 7th turn, Ricci. This one is bad. Yeah, this one I think I messed up on a lot. Yeah. So at South 1, points are still pretty close by everyone. I get to Tempai waiting on the 6th Manzu, which looking at the field looks pretty bad because you don't see any like 4s, you don't see any 5s, you don't see any 7s, you don't see any 8s. 6 Mon is probably pretty easy to use even if they don't have it. And then East, which is not that bad, but there's only one remaining, which means it could technically be anywhere in the wall. And so only if they're going to be pushing are they going to probably drop that. Let's see, XGO is wondering about the 1-pin discard. Let's go back to that. That is true. Yeah, that is true. So I was holding on to North just in case, like, oh, I really want to get like a pair of the Norths or something. But considering what this hand is becoming, yeah, I definitely think the Pei is better right here because even if I do happen to, drop the 1 and draw the 7, which is what happened, I probably don't want to take that Tempai. And I probably, like, even in this case right here, want to, well, in this specific case, I'd probably take it anyway, but I went Ricci, because then I can improve on the 6 if I draw a 5 or a 7, and if I Tsumo before that, then great. And if something dangerous happens, I'll fold with the East. But if I kept the 1 around, and then just drop the North, and then I drew the 7, I could just go ahead, drop the East, and now I have a floating 4 to build on. Or actually, no, I wouldn't drop the East. I would drop the 6, because then I could get either a 5 or a 7 or a 3 or a 5 and instantly get Penfu. Yeah, the one does have some really good use right there. I was too fixated on the north in that round. So I'm like, oh, I don't. You have this, like, oh, I don't need that pair, what, or this pair weight. I already got too many pairs. But if you think of it more so like, oh, I don't need this floating four, which I kind of do. Yeah, that one definitely should have been pay right there. Nice catch, XGO. And then, oh yeah, and then so the reason why this right here is pretty bad, especially in this room, is because people know how to push when they should push. So
リーチ、
if someone reaches, what do you push that? What are you going to push a Ricci with? Well, if you happen to have, like, I don't know, 3 Dora, or you have, like, Pin Futanyao, and you can reach after them, then yeah, you're going to fight. Because even if you lose some of the time, estimated value-wise, you're going to win. Or at least get more points than if you would have just folded your hand. Similarly, in this round, boom, Pon of the Dora. They're not stopping their hand for anything now. And then I got really, really, really lucky drawing this one. Because they were probably Tempai. Yep, waiting on the 4-pin. Which had more tiles in the wall than this tile right there, so yeah. Mahjong. Definitely all skill.
スモ、
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest mistakes I noticed in the game. Where it's like, after, as soon as I declared reach, I'm like, ah, I regret everything.
スモ、
Next up, South 2, first turn. So this hand was also kind of interesting. So, with the points right now, I have a pretty okay lead. And so what I want to do with this, if I do get to Tempai, I want it to be a Tempai that can actually, potentially, I don't know, do some damage, or at least get me ahead enough that I can secure the game, for the most part. And then also maybe even be a deterrent in itself. 3-pin is the Dora, and so at a glance, it's like, oh, Honitsu potential. Yeah, I'm surprised. Rather than going for Hatsunomi or Honitsu, I kind of went like the halfway mark in that I don't necessarily need this 6 to go for Hatsunomi right here. But if I pair up any of these, then I can immediately switch over to Honitsu. So the reason why I don't need the 6 necessarily is because if you view this as technically 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, 4 block, 5 blocks, I already have 5 blocks. Even though the 6, of course, would improve my weight, I could get like a 5 or 7 on there and get double side weight. If I do end up getting Tempai on this later on with Hatsunomi, I'm going to have to fold. Whereas in the case that I do happen to get any of the Pinzu stuff, it could easily go up to a hand that can fight. And then right here, I got the 3-pin at that point, and so it's like, well, I probably don't want to drop. Yeah, I'm like, since I have a 3-pin, since I already have a guaranteed Mangon, if I do go for Honitsu, I decided to commit at that point. Plus, the good thing about Honitsu is, as long as you don't stick out your neck too far, you can always defend with it. So yeah, I actually think probably there I should just go ahead and throw the 4 and the 6. Because even if I do want to pawn this, right? Keeping this shape around at the end is going to be kind of dangerous. Plus, Honitsu is a much bigger deterrent than just like Hatsu. And also 8,000 points versus whatever points this will be, like 2,000 probably. Thought you were going to commit at this point. I know, right? I should probably commit at this point. In Mahjong, you can't, being too defensive or being too offensive isn't the problem. Being too half-assed is the problem. Yeah, I definitely think I should probably commit at this point. Even if I do pawn this and go with this stuff right here, I can always just fall back if something bad goes wrong. Whereas if I go halfway and then I try to go, it's a lot harder to take it back.
ポン
Now this right here is really fun.
ポン
8-pin call. I'm going to discard this 4 right here. Whoops. And misclick. So if you're wondering, like, why did he keep the 4 there? Is this some secret? No, it's a mistake. Horrible, horrible mistake that almost killed me.
チ
This one's interesting. I do not think I should have cheated that. Maybe. Or maybe it's not that bad. If I don't chi this, there's only two pins left. Also, one pin came out from the dealer, so their hand is probably pretty close to Tenpai. Usually, whenever you see a 3-pin like that, one shanten is kind of the norm. So should I call this? I have a big enough lead that I don't need to necessarily fight everything, but if I do happen to get into good Tenpai, it's not that bad. And if I do call this, I'm going to be dropping the 8 Sozu, and then I'm going to still be 1 shanten, but most importantly, I'm missing my pair. And I could technically call the 5-8 right here, and then get into a Haruka Tanki waiting on a pair for a Mangon. But that seems a bit reckless, to say the least. Actually, this raises the question. If I wanted to avoid this situation, rather than calling a pawn right here, I should have called a chi. Yeah, that would actually be a lot better. So I was thinking like, oh, I want to call a pawn right here because then I'm a bit more flexible with this shape. Because now I can get the 5 and the 8. Whereas if I do call a pawn of the 8, whereas if I call a chi, then I can only get the 8. But I wasn't considering that if I do want to use the Dora right here, either A, I need to get a 2, or I need to extend the shape with like a 4. You still have Oya, no fear. I know, right? Well, and also my dealership is also in Oras, which is particularly interesting because at that point you're never safe. You just have to like blow out everyone and hope you're high enough so that they can't reach you. Huh. Yeah, I think Chi right there is maybe a little bit better. Because then if I do get the 5 even, it's not a backfire because I can use it with the 3. 1 is pretty easy to call, generally. And then I won't run into the problem where I have no pairs. Because usually with any open hand, you don't want to really open if you don't have a pair confirmed, because getting the pair is one of the hardest things, unless of course you have a shape that can account for it, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, or some of the other stuff that we had earlier. Yeah, I don't think chi is bad right there. You would still call pawn. Why would you call pawn next Geo? Would the 1 pin come out so easily though?
ポン
I would say generally yes. I would say generally yes. 3-pin is the Dora, but in the case that you have like a 1-pin and a 4-pin, what are you going to keep usually? You're going to keep the 1-pin over the 4-pin. And especially for any hands like Tanya and whatnot, they will do the same. 1-pin is pretty difficult to use, especially now that I have a pair of it. They can only either use it in their own pair, or more likely in a run, and if they do get a 4-pin, they'll probably switch that out right there. Though it's not super likely that I can get it, I think it makes it okay. Oh, that was, yeah, that misclick right there hurt so bad. Specifically for this case right here. Hmm. Two calls Honitsu, they might defend. That was my hope. Um,
地
especially because like this right here is showing Dora. I have a Dora and I have Hatsu, and so to these two people, you know, they probably don't have enough to fight a Mongon. The one wild card, of course,
リーチ
is the dealer. Except I didn't think that the dealer's hand was that expensive with at this point. But I could be horribly wrong. And then the Mahjong gods are like, wow, you suck at this game. Here, take one of the last one-pin pairs to save your soul. Which is pretty amazing. But I did not deserve that at all. What did the dealer reach with?
地
リーチ
So yeah, they reach with the Shabo, Richidora. Oh no, Richidora Dora. Okay.
リーチ
Yeah. Either way, I overextended way too much without much to say for it. But it's like, at what point did I overextend too much?
本
Was it calling the Hatsu? Probably not, because I can still go with this. Was it calling this? Probably not, because I could still fold with this. Oh, never mind. Yeah. That misclick hurt. But even then, it's like, well, misclick or not, if the 2-pin comes out, would I still take it? Maybe the answer is I should just pass up on the 2. Washi no 1-pin. Yeah. This hand has a bunch of questions. I think this is probably, this and the 8-pin are the interesting ones here. And send out that question. Okay, next up. Last one. South. I think that says 4. I have too many tiny, tiny notes. Is it south of 0, 14th turn reach? Surely not. No. When did I do a 14th turn reach? Oh, wait. And... ah, yeah, this one. So, Akainu was going, like, insane right here. They looked heavy on the Pinzu, but they dropped the 6 and the 8 pretty late on, so that led me to believe probably Tanya or something. They also dropped the door early on, so that also led me to believe that they're not going for Honitsu. Of course, they could have had 3 door in their hand, but in that case, they don't need any extra Han. They already have a Mongon, so why would they go ahead and drop all of these Tatsus? So yeah, I actually kind of like Reach right here. 7 pins came out right here. 3 pin or 6 pin, 6 pin. They called Chi on the 6 pin, and then 3 pin right here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles remaining, of which I think a good amount of them are probably in the wall. Like maybe 2 or 3. See, I don't, and also like the difference between me and last is still pretty far. South 2, 3 home on the field, and I need to get closer to dealer in order to attempt to take first. And even if they do Ron me, unless they have another 2 door in their hand, like probably 5,800 or more likely 2,600. It could be 5,800 though, especially since they decide to open up with this Tanya Dora. Something is wrong if you call 3 times and you're not in Senpai. Yes, that, yes.
1
Let's see what actually they were going for. My guess is Tanyao. Tanyao. Waiting on the 2-5 for Tanyao.
1
Nice. And then also looking at my guess of like how many were in the wall. Yeah, still 2 remaining. 6 right here, and then there's 3 right here. So I don't think that's that bad. The more interesting part, though, was that
1
what they're willing to push for this hand. Like, they're like, oh, they reached. Well, Moro Hikake, that doesn't exist. You know, red 5. That's like, wow, that's pretty insane. And then this one is also insane, where it's like, from their perspective, they can only see one red Dora. No other red Dora is on the field, and a person's in reach. Drops the red Dora. That will get them killed so many times. And they're in like you know, a decent first place as well. It's like, why would you push that? Tenhou. Suonko won Shanten. Which side? Oh, right here. Yeah. And then they got really sad. It's another benefit of reach. It's like, hey, look, you're really close to last. Don't deal into another hand or you might be there forever. That's fun. Alright, and then South 3. Do I have any questions this hand?
1
The main one, I guess, was the tile that... Oh, this is interesting. So, 4-pin safe right here, 4-mon safe right here. If I did end up getting to Tenpai, do I want to throw the 1 or the 4? I thought the 4, because if we look on the board, 4-4, people are defending, 4 right here. If the last 4-mon comes out, or if they can see the last 4-mon themselves, then 3 looks a lot safer. And so if I do keep this 1-2 around and I end up with a Tenpai with like Richidora 3, the 3 doesn't seem that bad, except it is Shonpai right now. Unless, of course, one of these two has an Anko of it, which they might be willing to. And then, this 6-pin was huge. So, this 6 Sozu was huge. So this is the 4th 6 Sozu. They dropped a 2 Sozu right here. So, are they waiting on a Tonki of the 5? There is a possibility, but generally probably not. So, I got the Tenpai. Do I take the 6-So 100% safe tile, Richi waiting on the Dora and the 5 Sozu, or do I Richi on the 5 and wait on the 4 and the 7? I thought this was pretty solid 5. A Mongon hand, even against the dealer, the Dora is hard to use. I have one of the red Dora, and one of the red Doras right here, so their hand is probably not worth that much, whether I deal in or not. And plus, the 7 and the 4 look amazing, especially with this wall right here. 4 just came out right here, like, oh my god, it's beautiful. And whenever I drop the 6, whenever I drop the 5, I guess they won't know that the 6 is closed off yet, because, you know, I have it in my hand. But especially from the dealer and myself, I think this weight's pretty good at this point. The safer one. Clearly, Ipeiko Dora 3. You can Dama. Yes, definitely. I'm going to throw the 7. Wait for the last 6-0. Oh, wait, there is no last 6-0. Sad. Yeah. The main reason...
1
the only reason that I would drop the 5 right here, though, is because this last 6 came out. If the last 6 did not come out, I cannot throw this. The 6 right there is way too dangerous to throw the 5. Plus, I have 100% safe tile versus, you know, not. But because the last 6 came out, and because I can see the 2-So right here, so the 2-5 is dead, the only way that they can be waiting on the 5 Sozu is if they're waiting on a Tonki. Which would kind of make sense if they had the red one, but I have the red one in my hand. So... Richi! Now, if I had to guess how much their hand is worth, probably Richi with one other random thing. Ja-jan! Riichi Chitoitsu. Ah, They could have waited on the 5. That's funny. Oh, that's also really funny because it's like walled off now on the other side. And this person held on for dear life. Good job.
Beach.
Yeah, that was a fun game. Alright, I gotta go to bowling now. So, thanks for watching.